New World Pictures was able to go head to head with the big movies that it's competing against is in the case of Piranha. Now, I'm not saying Piranha is as good as Jaws, because I actually think Jaws is the greatest movie ever made. Not the greatest film ever made, but what's supposed to be a movie, everything that a movie is supposed to be,
Jaws
you're never going to get better than Jaws. Jaws is the pinnacle of that. It's the greatest movie ever made. Piranha is not the greatest movie ever made, but it's a pretty damn good fucking movie. And it's a magnificent Jaws ripoff. It's a fantastic Jaws ripoff. It's as fun. If you ask me, Piranha is as fun as almost any movie made in the 70s. It is a blast. I have seen Piranha 8 or 9 times since it came out, and I'll probably see it 3 more times again, and I'll enjoy it every single fucking time. Especially if I'm watching it with somebody who hasn't seen it before.
Well, so much of that is Joe Dante and his bemused touch. Everything he touches feels...
Well, he's such a smart aleck.
He's a little bit of a smart aleck, but that's kind of what I like about him.
It's who he is. I mean, if you don't like that, you don't like him.
And he just makes it like the movie is fun.
Yeah,
Jaws isn't. I mean, Jaws
is fucking fun.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not fun, but the truth is Jaws is fun. But it's fun in a different kind of way. Piranha is fun in a campier way.
Yeah, no. But it manages the camp without it being stupid. It's always it always has the right touch of Mad Magazine to it.
Totally. Well, I'll tell you something. My wife, Gretchen, who you know.
Yeah. You don't need to preface who you're talking about when you say your wife, Gretchen.
No, I was talking to Gala in that moment.
My wife, your mother.
Yeah. I think I might know her.
So I was describing a scene from Piranha Tour, and I started to cry. And I don't know if you noticed when we were watching
the Paul Bartel scene?
Yes.
Yeah.
I started crying while watching Piranha. I can't believe that I started crying watching Piranha. I'm a little bit of a softie with movies, but I never cried during Jaws. And there's that moment where Joe Dante does like the ultimate, which is he takes all children. It's all these little children in the water in this lake. I mean, I'm sorry, in a river.
Yeah.
And the piranhas come and they just start attacking people and they're just sucking them under and they're just chewing them into pieces. They're taking legs to the bone and it's a feeding frenzy on children. And if that isn't shocking enough, you've had Paul Bartel's character, who is kind of that Dante camp kind of...
Explain his job, who he is.
Okay, so he's the camp counselor. He's kind of like the goofy camp counselor. Okay, you kids, you got to go over here. He's like walking around. He's Paul Bartel. He's a little goofy and overweight. And
he's like pompous. And he's like kind of like, he's the jerky disciplinarian at the camp who's stopping all the kids from having a good time.
You've got to get in the water. And she's like, oh, no, but she said I didn't have to. Get in the water now. You do it. Don't be a, I can't remember how he talks her down, but it's hilarious.
Don't be a quitter.
Don't be a quitter. And he gets a call from Bradford Dillman, the town boozer.
Hey, there's a bunch of piranha on the way. What are you, piranha? Get out of here.
He hangs up the phone on him.
Sober up, Grogan.
He hangs up on him. So he's been
sober up and fly right, Grogan.
So he's been set up as that kind of Jaws character who's ignoring everything that's kind of being told. Well, there's 2 of those in this movie. There's also Dick Smith, but he's set up as one of those kind of guys who's ignoring all of the warning signs that are coming at him, and he's a little goofy and he's played for comedy almost.
Complete character. Complete buffoon.
A caricature. And suddenly the attack on children happens. And he jumps into the water. Or I think maybe he falls in the water, but he goes.
No, he jumps in.
He jumps in.
The lake is full of piranhas, and he is standing there, waist deep in it, carrying children out.
As the piranhas are attacking him, and it's a super powerful moment because he makes when the chips are down, Dante shows humanity, and though he's being freaking flayed by these piranhas who are just nipping away at him and biting him all over his body. He's pulling out as many kids as he can before he can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And then Bradford Dillman, who has been trying to warn him.
Who gets there after everything has happened.
After the chaos has happened and they're just people crying everywhere, children in tears, half-eaten everywhere. And he sees Paul Bartel, and the moment comes where he's looking at Paul Bartel on the ground, and he wants...
I'm just laughing at children half-eaten
everywhere.
good description, but that's a fantastic sentence. I'm so fucking there. I'm front row.
He sees Paul Bartel, the two of them lock eyes. Yeah. And it's the moment where basically he would tell him, I told you so.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to because he's already laying in front of a dead child.
Yeah. And he's destroyed. Absolutely.
And Paul Bartel, the look on Paul Bartel's face goes from like this goofy caricature where he's like literally playing out of like Porky's or something.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he's filled with this kind of depth of human compassion and understanding and devastation and there's all this death around him. And I was overwhelmed by it.
Yeah. Now, even the shot of him on the ground by the child with like bites,
bleeding all over. The look on his face.
Well, it looks like Vietnam. It looks like. I actually think the imagery is almost meant to evoke Vietnam to some degree.
And so I was trying to explain to Gretchen what the movie was like. Mm-hmm. And I started describing it and I started weeping in that moment. Like it took me right back to the scene.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me that what Dante does is he has a deft balance. Mm-hmm. Like he does the comedy that you need to do, but he also, like, when the chips are down, humanity is there. And I've seen this in all of his movies, or in many of his movies. Mm-hmm. You know, because like I'm a big fan of, Inner Space. I love The Burbs. Like
I love Explorers.
Like you really like Explorers. You were always a big fan of Explorers.
Yeah. Well, back when nobody else was.
When nobody else loved it. Even I didn't like it back then, and I've since come around.
And I actually think Gremlins 2, the new batch, is a fucking masterpiece. Absolute masterpiece. The greatest Mad magazine ever turned into a film. All right.
I wonder if the DVD or the video has, because, in Gremlins 2, there's a moment where the film burns.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
And it burns. And they changed it on the video and they made it video.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I wonder what that is on the DVD.
I think they did. Not only did they do that, they actually did something like that in the novelization.
Oh, really?
In the novelization, when it gets to that part, the Gremlins attack the novelist.
The paper.
Yeah. The Gremlins come in, attack the novelist, yank him off of the novel, lock him in the closet, and then Stripe, the lead Gremlin, goes on to apparently write a 3-page manifesto. Until the author gets out of the closet and chases the Gremlins away and finishes the book.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing. But that's Dante. Like, Dante will do stuff like that because, like, the fun is in the movies. He's just as emotional and just as powerful as any other filmmaker doing, real human emotions on screen. But he's also really super playful. He makes it a movie.
I was able to interview Joe Dante on the set of Gremlins. I was able to meet him in his office.
These are the days when you were like pretending to write a book and you would meet with all these directors.
Yeah. Starting at the age of 17, I started getting in touch with the directors and told them I was writing a book and could I get together with them and meet with them and interview them.
And knowing that directors are completely vain and would like, I'm in a book, right? Yeah, come and talk to me.
And so I did this. I met a whole lot of directors and interviewed them, and one of them was Joe Dante. And so when I'm meeting him at the office, we're talking for a little bit, and he goes, "Oh, you know what? I got to go and look at a match shot. All right, that they're testing out on me. You can come with me. Come with me. All right." And so he introduces me to a bunch of people. And he goes, "Just go and have a seat." And so it's like the closing shot of the little neighborhood from Gremlins and everything. It's Christmas time, so it's all snowy and everything. And it's like the camera's moving out and you see the moon and you see the sky and whatever. And so they're looking at the map and go, yeah, that looks nice and that looks this and da-da-da-da. And then somebody says something, well, you know what we could have? We could have a little Santa Claus and the reindeers flying over the moon, like in the background there. We could do that. And they're all ha, 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 ha. And then Joe Dante goes, okay, don't suggest shit like that to me unless you're prepared for me to do it, because I'm liable to think that's a good idea and make you do it. One of the things that Roger just couldn't believe when we were watching the film, and it's hard for me to believe, is the majority, there were some exceptions, but the majority, the lion's share of all the movies coming out of New World Pictures, they had 2-week schedules. They were 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. That's a big production. All right. But like 2.5 weeks. And, and especially in the first half of the 70s, the movies were like $180,000 or $200,000 or $220,000, $240,000. You know, if they're getting to $300,000, that's going to be too much.
Yeah.
The movie looks like they had 6 weeks and at least $500,000.
Yeah.
At least.
I would even go beyond that, because as I was watching,
no, you could say it cost $8 million if it was done for Warner Brothers, and you'd believe it. Now, they had more money than they normally had because Corman sold the, I believe he sold to United Artists the foreign rights. So that means that they probably, they might have had 100 or 200,000 more dollars to make the movie, and then probably a couple of weeks. I'm still guessing 400,000 at the most, at the highest.
I mean, you've done low budget movies.
Mm-hmm.
I do low budget movies.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it takes to do what they did in that film. And it is a Herculean task to achieve what they did. They're shooting on water. They're shooting in lakes.
Well,
they're shooting with hundreds of children.
Well,
it's incredible.
Okay, here's the difference though. When you're talking about they had 3 weeks to shoot the movie or 4 weeks to shoot the movie, you're talking about the main production shoot. Sure. I'm positive, in fact, I know that when it came to Piranha, when it came to all the special effects, they just kept working on that after the shoot was over. They kept working on that again and again and again and again and again and again and again on little pools, in Venice. I only have 2 problems with the whole movie. One is the problem that you have about the way the piranhas get loose in the ocean is not elegant.
Into the river,
in the river, in the river. It's not elegant.
It doesn't serve our heroine.
It doesn't serve our heroine. It does. They could have done better.
They could have done better.
Oh, hey, what's this? Okay, they could have done better.
It could have been. Right. They could have done anything.
No, it had that kind of.
Don't push that.
Yeah, national treasure. Like, hey, what's this wheel? Let's turn it. All right. And the other thing that I have a problem with is I really like Bradford Dillman in the movie, and especially his first scene that he has with Keenan Wynn.
Yeah. He's
really terrific. And I like Bradford Dillman when he's like stars in B movies. He kind of makes that red flannel shirt, man, almost makes it kind of iconic by the time you get to the end of the movie because he's worn it through the whole film. He's got his beard, and he kind of looks virile. He looks a little sexy, which I'm not used to seeing Bradford Dillman look sexy. And then he has that over-enunciated way of talking through gritted teeth that makes him look like a B-movie Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
But like a good B-movie Charlton Heston. I liked him. I have a little bit of problem in the first half hour of the movie after setting him up as this kind of cool, virile, woodsy guy. Yeah, he's got a drinking problem. Who cares? That almost makes him seem cool, like Hemingway or something.
Yeah. Seems like he can hold
like
it.
Maybe he's a Hemingway-ish writer out there and just, knocking him back as he's pounding out some bitter typewriter.
Yeah.
They make him kind of a doddering fool in the first half hour when he's with Heather Menez. And then now he's kind of puttering around behind her. And
I think it's an attempt to give him a character arc where he starts off as a drunk and he ends up as a hero.
And but he never even
like
plays
a sober
it. But
hero.
He never plays it as a drunk. He plays it like a writer who's just, the bottle is his part of his life. He's never drunk.
I don't even feel it anymore is the feeling.
Yeah.
I can drink a whole bottle and it doesn't even affect me.
And then the way he just keeps like sipping out, it just seems like they're emasculating him after they had set him up to be so virile. They kind of, the way he sips out of the canteen, it just seems like it's an emasculating way when I actually thought he was just, I thought he was very powerful the way he was set up in that scene with Keenan Wynn. Now he gets it all back. He gets it all back later once he gets on the river. But that's my only problem. But where I think the movie distinguishes itself as something impressive and, dare I even say, remarkable, frankly. You follow the piranha down the river, and where we start learning where the piranha is heading is to a child's camp, where that's a child camp based on the river. We know this is where they're heading. Now, there's also a big resort going down, so the piranhas are gonna hit the resort. But hitting the resort is one thing. The fact that they put all these children in the river, all on inner tubes, and all these chubby legs, and all these chubby arms, and all these chubby little fingers and chubby little toes are just like
Dante gleefully gleefully attacks their underarms.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's no trepidation about setting up the children. It is gleeful. The worst thing that could happen, and it's relished.
Yeah.
It's relished, and we're waiting for it to happen and waiting for it to happen. And then it happens. And that is one of the best edited sequences of 70s cinema. Dante was a terrific editor. He always considered himself an editor, especially back then.
Yeah, but he stops editing.
Well, he's a director who always...
After The Howling, he never edited again. I always wondered, he's such a good editor.
Yeah. Well, when you're a director and you also edit, you give some other guy the job, but you can edit as much as you want.
Well, it really served him on Piranha. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. Well, the editing technique is so amazing. You see Eisenstein in that sequence. Mm-hmm. You see Russ Meyer
it's the
in
steps.
that sequence. It's all there. He is using every trick he has ever learned, and all the tricks he learned doing cutting New World trailers, every little effect he's used it. Now, one of the reasons I think cinematically, it's his best accomplished sequence he's ever done. It's the most cinematically perfect sequence. And I love the fact that it's not about the comedy, other than just the gruesome black comedy of it all.
Well, the comedy makes it ever more powerful. Is the thing.
And but no, there's a reason it works so good. Because I've read many interviews with Dante talking about the time making Piranha. And we all know Joe Dante's a smart aleck. All right. So if he watches your movie and it's like cheesy and the monsters of fucking rubber suit, and you can see he's going to joke about it. He's going to goof on it. Well, now he's stuck doing a movie that he doesn't have enough money to do the proper special effects. And now he's going to be the movie that everyone dumps on.
And he will be damned if he lets that happen.
And then he tries it and he thinks the stuff looks terrible. And then he tries this with the fish and he thinks it looks terrible. And so, because out of fear of it being terrible, he worked harder on cutting the sequences and reshooting the fish and doing different things with the fish and trying different things with the fish. He did so many things again and again and again, not even to make it good, just to make it not bad as far as he was concerned. And he worked probably harder than he ever did cinematically. And he pulled off an editorial masterpiece, if you ask me. The fact that you can look at it and you can see this, and you can see Eisenstein and Russ Meyer in those montages is kind of fucking amazing. No, and it's right there. It's a phantasmagorical editorial masterpiece, those sequences.
Yeah. I completely
tour de force.
There's a couple of other genre editor-directors that I love. And one of them is George Romero, who was famous as editing. And what he would do is, he would be editing and he's like, okay, we need this. And he would go out and shoot it and then put it in. And I got to know Don Coscarelli really well. And he's the same thing. He literally, he would shoot, then he leaves standing sets, and he's got his editing room
Robert
right
Rodriguez
there.
does the same thing.
And yeah, exactly. These kind of directors who they're crafting it together, and they know the images and the sequences they're doing. I mean,
Well, Romero also had a thing. Romero didn't like to see his movies at speed.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, he liked to just do them on the rewinds.
Yeah.
All right. No, you get too comfortable seeing them at speed. Too much. No. You need to do them at your own pace there. So he would just add tracks. Just keep adding mag tracks.
Yeah.
And they're just winding them, winding them through the little box.
Well, it's after we saw this and we were talking about Eisenstein and the kind of Eisenstein quality of that sequence.
Yeah.
I mean, you're absolutely right. His craft and care into like making sure that every single cut has for maximum effect, whether it's a little piranha
biting the fatty part of a little kid's arm.
Yeah, exactly. Going after the underarm. It's such an intense scene. I mean, look, a lot of people are going to watch it and just not feel anything, I imagine.
I disagree. There's a reason why.
I might be building it up too much. It's just that it really
It delivers like dominoes.
It delivers like the Odessa step sequence is what it delivers like. You know, he really figured out this shot, this fear reaction, this shot of people running, this shot of someone falling, this shot of piranhas zooming through the water. Like it feels like a perfect rhythm.